Hey, on my part two of my talk with Jake Zweig, how you doing again, Jake?
I'm awesome, Peter. How you doing, man?
Doing great, buddy. Appreciate the extra time. It was, I know we were kind of cutting it short the first time, but you've had so many experiences of traveling and experiencing so many different things. I was so thankful that you're willing to give me a little extra time. One thing I haven't done, I've traveled to most of the states now in the U.S., but I haven't traveled internationally. And you started mentioning, like, I go, oh, yeah, I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico. You were mentioning continents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, how many different continents have you been on now? I'm throwing you a loop there.
All of them except Russia.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. All, Russia, that ain't a continent. All of them except Australia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't been to Australia, but every other continent I've been on. So
that's crazy. What is the some of the things you've seen when you've traveled to different countries, different continents, that type of thing?
I talk about going to Tanzania and Kenya, right? Like, so we went through Kenya in 2014, and everybody has a gun in the airport. And then like 7-8 months later, they had the Kenyan mall killings, right? They lost 80 people in a mall. And I'm like, yo, we were right there, And so the one thing that I say is how fortunate we are in the United States. I know I said that in the first one, but, when you see people, so when we went to Tanzania, we were right there at the foot of Kilimanjaro, and we were we're shooting Dude, You're Screwed out in the middle of the African safari. It was absolutely awesome experience. But I remember them saying, like, look, at night, there's a leopard that walks around here. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, he hasn't attacked anybody, but he kind of lives in the enclaves of huts, and he'll go through here every night, so just be careful. So I'm like, all right, no worries. So the first night we got there a little late, we set up, we had to do a shoot in the BFOT, which is the big tent, and we were there, and I remember I was walking back by myself, and I turned a corner and I heard, which is a shotgun, right? And I was like, oh my. I'm like, hey, I'm staying here. And a guy, and a little red glowing cigarette. That's all I could see, right? Kind of stepped out from behind the guard shack, and he said, okay. And then I walked by, and I was like, oh my, we're not in the United States anymore. And so the next day, we went out, and they had some elephants. And so we were going to see the elephants. And I was all excited to go see the elephants. And I was like, hey, who are those people with the elephants? And they're like, those are their bodyguards. I was like, what? They were like, yeah. They're like, those 3 people right there have been guarding those 3 elephants for the last 10 years. And there's 4 people that watch the elephants, and you get 1 day off every 3 days.
And that's all they do.
That's all they do. And they're with them 24 hours a day. So they sleep with them. Like, they're in their pack of elephants. And I was like, man. And I said, why is that? And they said, the second there isn't a guy with a gun guarding those elephants, someone will come in here and poach them an hour later. Because the poachers know exactly what 4 people are watching those elephants. And if those 4 people were ever seen in town together, those elephants would be dead within 6 hours. I was like, oh my.
That's real.
And so just a different kind of, and they were awesome. There was a baby elephant, 2 big elephants, and then a medium-sized elephant. And, I was like, okay. And it was on a 25,000-acre game preserve right there at the base of Kilimanjaro. And you're like, okay. But then you go out in town. We went out in town. And they're constructing new houses out of sticks and mud. Literally, they line the sticks up, they cover them in mud, they wait for it to dry, they work on another wall. Little square houses with a sheet for a door, dirt floors. And I said, okay, now I understand why, a 10,000-pound elephant full of meat is beneficial to somebody that sees, their next 10 meals over there, or they're able to sell all that meat and buy something else. You know what I mean? Just the resources in the area were just absolutely awful. So, eye-opening. Once I
say again. That's almost something you can't really, unless you experience it, I think it's hard. It's hard for most Americans that haven't been outside of the country to even imagine that.
And let's be honest, we got stuff like that in the United States. There's some really poor people down in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
We know that. Every place has poor people, but to see somebody building a house out of sticks and living on a dirt floor, I've seen it in other parts of the world. I saw it in Puerto Rico. I was dating a young lady in Puerto Rico who lived in the quote unquote old slave quarters, and she had a dirt floor, no running water. They had electricity, but dirt floor, no running water, 2-room cinder block house. Yeah. And that's probably you go over there, you go over to Africa, and in minutes you're like, oh man, I'm living the worldwide dream in America.
Well, the interesting. I watched. I'm in the fashion apparel industry.
Okay.
And all of our products are made over India, China, Bangladesh. People make them.
Yep.
And I always tell people, I don't care who the president is, manufacturing will never come back to the United States.
Can't. Not possible.
I go, in India, there's documentaries out there highlighting, in India they make $0.25 an hour.
And they're rich.
So
they're rich on $0.25 an hour.
They're making $3 a day in a 12-hour day.
Yep, and they're rich. Like they're doing good.
$3 a day is a lot of money.
Yep.
So I mean everything's relative, but they're living in conditions like you just said. They were talking to the one girl who was asking for improved conditions. She lives in a square cinder block room, concrete floor, cinder block walls, a door opening, no door, no windows. That's where she lives.
And the thing that people don't realize, so we have 350 million in America, spread out across a pretty large swath of America, right? The coast housed 95% of our population, but when you go to like India, like I tell people, China has 25 cities larger than New York City.
Right.
And you're like,
whoa.
Right? Like India has 1.1 or 1.2 billion people.
4 times the amount of population we have.
4 times the amount of population in probably half the space. And, we know, I watched a big documentary on happiness, and there was a cab driver that lived in a cardboard box with his wife and his 2 kids, and he was one of the happiest people they studied because he had nothing. He ran a rickshaw, and he got paid enough to put food on the table for his family. He didn't need anything else. He lived in a cardboard box. Everybody was happy. The kids played, and it's like, oh, yeah, we're doing pretty good in America,
Yeah, and happiness is completely relative.
100%.
Whether I see people traveling all the time at different levels, whether you're a truck driver, a cross-country truck driver, a local truck driver, sales reps. I've seen people that should be happy and they're not, and I've seen people that shouldn't be happy and they're great.
I mean, some of the richest people in the world are the most unhappy, right? Look at Michael Jackson, right? Has everything and ODs on drugs because he's so unhappy.
Well, and maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I sit there and go, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Heath Ledger, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, all these people, Kurt Cobain, all these people have everything that a lot of people are striving for, and yet they commit suicide.
It's almost tragic. So I got my first TV show in 11, and I was so excited.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be on TV. This is gonna be awesome. 2 days into the experience, I was like, yo, this is phony baloney. Like, I'm not about pretentiousness and image and like this is garbage. But then I quickly flipped it over to, well, I'm going to use this TV show as a tool and an opportunity. But like the whole idea of being a TV star lasted 2 days.
Exactly.
And then I was like, yeah, this is cool. You're paying me, but You know, I'd rather win football games than I would be in front of the TV eye. You know, yeah, it's cool when someone, you know, stops you at, you know, the grocery store and says, "Hey, can I have a picture with you?" But, you know, I can live without that pretty easily.
I definitely, you know, fame has changed just even in our lifetimes. You know, you go back 30 years ago, and being a celebrity was a completely different entity, a world that it is now. Just with cell phones,
yep,
you know, Twitter, the social media. You know, I never knew. I'm trying to think back. You know, in the mid '80s, who was a celebrity? You know, Joe Montana.
Yep, Joe Montana.
Okay, I didn't know what his political beliefs were. I didn't know what he watched for TV last night. I didn't know. I just knew that I liked playing football. I'll go back, and since you're at the home of one of the best football players in the history of football, Dick Butkus.
100.
I met him in 1995.
Okay.
I wanted to get his autograph, and that's the only autograph I ever paid for in my life. He was doing a card show thing here.
Okay.
And I grew up idolizing him. My dad said, "If you want to play football, watch this guy."
Yep.
But when you're growing up, I didn't know, you know, what his political beliefs were. I didn't know what his religious beliefs were. I didn't really care. But now, you know, if you follow a football player, now you can follow him what his day-to-day business is. So I think celebrity is different now.
It's completely different. And, you know, like Gary Vee says, you know, everybody has access now.
Yeah.
But if your story sucks, no one will listen to you. Right? And that's why you see, you know, a big butt female jiggling with 2 million followers and a congressman with 10,000 followers. Right? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
It's like, hey, that's what the marketplace wants. They want the jiggling butt over the congressman. You know, look at the Kardashians, right? The Kardashians are running shop right now in life. Running shop, and all they're doing is being themselves and letting the world watch. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Kardashians, I always tell people, you know, they're like, oh, they don't do anything. I go, if I were going to give you $140 million and all they had to do is walk around and film you, would you let them? 90% of the people would say, hell yeah.
No question.
You know?
Everybody's just envious. It's envy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's all it is. It's envy. Everybody wants to be them, but they can't because they're not them.
Right.
Right. I tell people all the time, they want to come be me. I said, man, you can't walk in my shoes.
Right.
I said, because some of the stuff I deal with would crush you. And I can deal with it because I've been crushed before, right? But, like, I just laugh when people, I say, you're not willing to do what I'm willing to do. So, you know, I will hopefully I can empower my football team to do that. But, like, you know, it's you know how it is. People email you and this, that, and the other. Or, you know, the favorite one I'm dealing with now is you're not really an outdoor guy. Like they just put you on that TV show because you're an African American. They don't say it as nicely, right? And then I got to go find. I've got it somewhere. I've got to go find my trapper's license that I got in first grade in Washington State. My certified trapping license to trap raccoons and other animals in the state of Washington. Because I think I can pretty much put everything to rest if I can find that. But if I can't,
but you kind of don't have to.
I don't have to, but, you know, it's one of those things where it's funny the amount of criticism I get about being an outdoor guy. I'm like, hey, bud, I grew up in a 12-foot aluminum boat in the Puget Sound, fishing, hunting, trapping from first grade to really kindergarten all the way through probably my 9th grade year of high school, because then I started to focus solely on sports.
Sports, yeah.
And I spent a lot of time in the outdoors after that. But, like, at that point I had spent, if you go from kindergarten to 9th grade for 10 years, I had spent 5 of those years in the bush. You know, all around Washington, rainforest. So, but anyway, we digressed a little bit. We digressed.
No, it's all good. Yeah. Do you think your ability to, because of your upbringing, being woodsy guy, obviously, I mean, I can't even imagine going through BUD school, BUDS training to be a Navy SEAL.
So, you know, everybody
watch it, but
everybody asks that question about SEAL training, and I know I'm different, right? Like when all my SEAL dudes tell me that you're different, like you kind of start to believe that you're wired a little differently than everybody else. But like I loved SEAL training. Like it was so much fun to me. Like, I mean, I had won a state title in wrestling. I wrestled in college. Nothing is harder than trying to lose weight and wrestle 2-3 times a day and beat somebody else. And so, like when I got to SEAL training, I went 100% out of shape because I wanted it to be hard. And, I mean, it lived up to expectations. But every day I had a party in SEAL training. Like every day, you know. I was class leader. You know, we live by a couple mantras. We'll die before we quit. Every day is Tuesday because Tuesday is one of those days you don't care if they keep you extra. You don't care if you got to come to work early. It's Tuesday. There's nothing fancy about Tuesday. So every day is Tuesday, right? We're going to prepare today like tomorrow's the Super Bowl. So whatever we can do tomorrow to ensure our success today, whatever we can do today to ensure our success tomorrow, we're going to do to make sure we're done. And then we'll be 400% prepared for all tests. And we rode, you know, we had a blast. You know, I just had my 20-year class reunion in June, and people were bringing out all sorts of things. My guy Ryan Light, who's now a doctor with his own practice in Virginia Beach, showed up with my Hell Week hat. And I was like, damn.
Where'd you get that?
He's like, yo, it's been in my sock drawer for 20 years. So I took a bunch of pictures with him, and then I said to my wife, I said, I got to give him back his memory. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, this is his memory now. Like he's carried around for 20 years. It's been in his sock drawer. And so I said, hey, Ryan, I want you to have this back. He was like, I'm not taking that back. That's yours. So I just Navy sealed him, and I stuffed it in his wife's purse, and I said, make sure he finds that in his sock drawer in a year from now. So she's like, I'll take care of it. So, but, you know, it's stuff like that from buds, man. Like, you know, and then the other thing that I tell, so I got a bunch of guys out in training, through training in the last probably 10 years. I've got a machine pumping out SEAL officers and buds and enlisted dudes. And the one thing I tell everybody is SEAL training is kindergarten. Like you hear it when you're in training and you don't really believe it. And then the second you step into a SEAL team and you're like, oh my, they weren't lying. I mean, the first day in the SEAL team, I almost drowned. First day, I show up at the SEAL team. They tell me there's a jump. I just came in from Fort Benning. I had 5 parachute jumps to my life. I go over to the parachute loft. I get my gear. Maybe 2 hours after I check in, they're like, hey, we're going parachuting. Today's DZ is Fort Story, water jump. I'm like, oh, my God. I don't have any training. They're like, you're a SEAL. Don't worry about it. Just jump out the plane.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Right? I quickly learned they'll let you kill yourself really quickly. So they put us out the plane at like 700 feet, which is about half as high as it should have been. And then I found myself in the water getting towed underwater in my parachute. Okay. And I got a video of it, which is awesome because I thought it lasted maybe a minute. I might have been underwater for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
But it felt like a minute to me. And then, you know, you're like, oh my, this is real. And then every month someone dies, whether we're at combat or not. Someone dies every month. Yeah. And if you go 3 or 4 months without somebody dying, people stop riding together. They won't get on a helicopter together. They won't get in a car together.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
because they know it's time. They don't.
It's time. And so, like, I remember we went like 6 months, and cats started getting real squirrely. We had a guy at my SEAL team that had been through 5 helicopter crashes. He was the sole survivor on 3 of them. Okay. And I remember we were going to training. We're going to parachute down at Fentress. And I remember, like, he came out of the job zone. Everybody got off the helicopter. And I was like, what's going on? They're like, yo, we don't ride with that dude. He ride on the helicopter by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, are you serious? Like, you guys are kidding me. They're like, no, this is dead serious. So I think it was like me and 3 other dudes got on the helicopter with him. And then literally like a week later, a helicopter crashed in San Diego, killed a bunch of Marines. Oh. Right? Like, they weren't in our community.
Yeah.
but they're close enough to our community because there's a bunch of SEALs on deck with us.
Yeah.
Right off of San Diego. Helicopter went down. My guy Eric Capitou was platoon commander. A couple guys from my class were there on the deck as SEALs. And it's like then you spend 3-4 years in the teams, and you're like, oh, okay, and sure as you can believe, every month. So that's probably the biggest thing for buds. Like buds is like kindergarten, and you go from kindergarten to the NFL. Literally, you check out of buds, you go to SQT. That's probably middle school. And you check out of SQT, and you're in the SEAL teams, and you go on deployment. Whether or not you see combat or not, it's still you're doing the same training.
Still relevant, yeah.
It's still the same training. Combat elevates it because now they're not dying in a training accident. They're just they're dying for the country, but it's still the same. Like I tell everybody, like I lost 4 guys that I was really close with to training accidents. And I don't care how they died. It's still the same loss, right? I lost my buddy in combat. I wasn't in combat. I was out in the military already, and he get killed. And now my son is named after him, and I ride with that every day. Every day I say my name's son. I say my son's name. I'm saying Zembeck, right? After Douglas Alexander Zembeck. So I named my son Zembeck Douglas Zweig. And so when I say Zembeck, like every day Doug is in my house. And I talked to his wife, his widow, and I talked to his mom and dad, and I said, man, in 1,000 years I could have never guessed the impact of naming my son what I named him. Like I knew I was trying to honor my buddy, but I didn't understand the true impact. And so I'm riding with that until I die. So that's the kind of stuff that like a lot of people talk about SEAL training and the rigors of SEAL training. I want everybody to understand, man, kindergarten is kindergarten. And when you get out of kindergarten, you go to middle school or elementary school, then you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, then you graduate college, you go in the workforce. And the SEAL teams, you go from kindergarten to basically middle school to the NFL. Like
it's
instantly.
A quick jump, yeah.
Yeah. And then, you go on some training missions and you gotta swim for 6 or 7 miles, and you're like, I guess the 7-mile swim at Buds really wasn't that far anymore.
It's all relative, huh?
Yeah. When you're swimming for 8-9 hours, you're like, oh my God, like, really?
Well, that's like when I it's interesting. I think even in business, how that could, I have a lot of people go, oh my God, I had an hour and a half drive today. And I'm like, really? I'm like, let's see, it took me 4.5 hours to get down to Calexico.
Yep.
I did a 45-hour meeting and about a 4-hour drive home.
Yep.
So I did, 8.5 hours today. How was your commute?
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, Peter, because the one thing I do want is that I'm gonna buy a King Air at some point. And I've really been thinking about, so King Air is a cargo plane basically. And I'm going to get a King Air and probably like a Honda CBR 600 that I can put inside the King Air.
Right.
So like instead of having like you got a 4-hour drive, I got a 30-minute flight, get on my motorcycle, go to my meeting, get back on my airplane, like just to maximize my time. Right now, if I'm flying around in a plane, but like that's my new kind of like instead of driving 4 hours, I just want to be able to fly. But then the problem is you don't have a car when you get there, so I'm gonna try to get this motorcycle in my airplane. So,
I'm sure you could do some lightweight, that 3D printing stuff.
3D print me a little motorcycle
for your bike frame.
Yeah, no question, right? I that's my I've been thinking about that one because I'm in football. I coach college football for a living. We drive all over the place.
Yeah.
I had Chicago and lived in Findlay, Ohio. I drove 5.5 hours all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, go ahead.
No, it's just what you do, though.
Yeah, no question. I'm going to win. Like, I'm going to do what I got to do to be successful. Really, I'm going to do what I got to do not to lose because I hate losing. And so.
Well, let me ask you this question, and you'll know where it's coming from. Do you like winning or do you hate losing?
I hate losing. I tell everybody, I was 109-5 in 3 years of high school wrestling. And literally, I can't tell you anything about those really 109 wins. Maybe my state championship, but really not that much. But I can tell you, I can talk hours on those 5 losses.
Yeah.
I talk hours on those 5 losses. So, like, I don't ever worry about winning. I just worry about not losing. And more importantly, like, and this is one of the things I've kind of revamped my thought process on goals. I read a book called Overachievement. It was absolutely awesome. And it just basically says, like, you need to look at opportunities more than you need to be stuck on your goals. But you got to be stubborn on your goals. So you work towards them. But, like, an opportunity may come up, and it may lead you back to your goals faster than if you didn't take the opportunity. And so one of the things that I know from sports psychology is an Olympic athlete focuses on a loss for 8 seconds, and then they're on to the next thing. Whereas I've carried my Jeff Amick loss in high school literally my whole life. It's one of the things that has propelled me my whole life was losing to him with 8 seconds left in the match. And so, you know, I think back and so it's been one of the things I've been trying to cut out of, but it's so much of who I am and why I've been successful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like
you and I are very similar. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I always tell people because they're like, I hate losing. Like you and I can go out play golf and have a great time. You put a quarter a hole, 25 cents a hole, bet on it, it's fucking game on.
Game on, bud. Like, let's go.
It's not about the money.
You want to hear an amazing golf story? This is a good one now.
Yeah.
And we will talk about TPC Charlotte, okay? So I'm in Charlotte. I'm doing an internship with Wachovia. I'm on the fixed income desk. I kind of made the internship. I'm in business school up in Michigan. Didn't want to go to Wall Street, so I made this internship at Wachovia in Charlotte. So I had really bad back for about 3 years. I got this book and fixed my back. And so I'm at the golf course for the first time in probably 6-7 years. I'm hitting the ball all over the place. And so I didn't realize it at the time, but the managing director of the desk was down the range at the golf course. So come into work on Monday. I sit like 3 desks away from him. He said, "Hey, Jake." He said, "Hey, man, you play golf?" And I said, "Yeah, a little bit, you know." He goes, "What would you shoot if we went out and played 18 right now?" And I was like, "I'll break 100.
Yeah.
And the whole desk erupted. I was like, "Oh, man." I'd been there a week maybe. I was like, "Oh, man, what did I just do?" So he goes, "I'll bet you any amount of money in the world that you can't break 100. And I was there. I had $100,000 in the bank. And literally, if it had been 1 week later, if it wasn't my third day on the job,
yeah, I
would have dropped $100,000 on that table right then. But I didn't because I just wasn't. I was like, man, what's going on? Is this a setup? Yeah. Like Wall Street odds? Like, oh, now I know it wasn't a setup. I'd have put $100,000 down right then. Like, boom, here's $100,000. 100,000 mark. You're on. Let's go. Yeah. When we doing this, right? So long story short, I was there for 8 weeks. I came in my last week, and as soon as I stepped on the desk, we had a morning call at 7. They're like, "Hey, you got your golf stuff?" I was like, "No, I'll go home and get it." They're like, "All right, meet me at the golf course. It's on today." All right, cool. Now, they don't know that I had been at the golf range pretty much every day since then. Yeah. I had been putting every day since then. So, like my fear of not breaking 100 was 0.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we go out, and I didn't understand this, but I'm kind of playing against the managing director. There's a West Point grad with us who's the referee. So we're probably 6 or 7 holes in, and the managing director is just awful. Balls all over the place. I won't use his name, but balls all over the place, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm playing decent. I'm not hitting it real good. So we get done, and the managing director is bright red, like just infuriated. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, we didn't even put no money on this game. Like, what is the problem? Right? Like, I'm just out here playing golf. I wasn't talking shit to him. I wasn't doing nothing crazy. So we get done. He shot a 109. Oh, okay. I shot an 86. So, me being me, I'm just kind of like, "Hey, man, see you tomorrow." It was like a Thursday or a Wednesday. It was the middle of the week. Okay. So we come into work the next day, and there's a different feel on the floor. Like 600 people sitting on the floor. Like when you walk in that room, that energy has a certain feel to it.
Yeah.
It was different.
It was gone.
I said, "Oh, what's going on in here today?" I said, "Hey, man, it's something happening? And they're like, nah, don't worry about it. So we sit down, morning call pops off. As soon as the speaker clicks off, a dude over in high yield jumps up and screams, "Hi, Ashworth! What'd he shoot?"
Oh.
I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And then Ashworth, I looked over, he was bright red. I said, oh, this ain't going to end well. And people started coming up, "Pay up, MF. You stupid. We knew you weren't going to do that. You thought he wasn't going to shoot 100. And then one dude came up and said, "You know he shot a 93 in the state qualifying match in Washington 20 years ago?" And like, I was like, oh, my. He lost like $19,000.
Oh.
So here's the keynote of this awesome story I'm telling. When it came time to offer me a job offer, everybody wanted to hire me. He raised his hand and had a list of 15 things that I had done in my 2 months there for reasons not to hire me.
Oh, shit.
One of which was selling $25 million worth of bonds while everybody was at lunch, which I did, which was probably wrong. But literally all I did was answer the phone, write down the order, give it to the trader. So it is what it is. Needless to say, I didn't get a job offer. So they don't exist anymore. No hard feelings. I'm doing good. But, yeah, that's my golf story. TBC, Charlotte, killing it, crushing it, you know, playing golf against the elites and sending them home with their tail between their legs.
The only thing I can tell you is the best round of golf I ever shot in my entire life was in tournament conditions. Because, you know, when you play with your friends, whatever, you go, oh, that's a gimme. Oh, I would have made that, you know.
Yeah.
So I played in a tournament, a men's tournament.
Okay.
And there were no gimmies. So every shot counted, and I just hyper-focused. I shot a 78, and I was like,
all right, now.
Let's go.
It's crazy.
And never shot that well since.
Never broken 80 ever. Never.
I've only done it 3 times.
I've broke 40 3 or 4 times, but I've never broken 80. I've hit 80 probably 15, 20 times.
Yeah.
And I don't play golf anymore. But
I don't either.
Like when I was younger, you know, so, and that's probably because my swing was invented on a golf course by myself. So.
Yeah, me too, man. I literally started at the age of 30.
Okay, I started as a sophomore because my dad told me all businessmen play golf.
Yeah, see, my dad wasn't that bright. My dad said just work hard. But I was 30 and I became general manager of a company.
Okay.
And the industry I was in, which is the construction industry, was all the builders had golf tournaments every year.
Gotcha.
And some had 2 a year.
Okay.
So as the general manager, I was expected to go out and be the representative. And I'm like, I don't golf, you know. I've gone to range. Yeah, so I go, well, I'll go. You know, I can't be the only one that doesn't golf. I was.
just for a little while, though, right?
Well, so I went and played, and I got it. The first tournament I ever played in for work was I got a trophy for the worst golfer.
Oh man, that's all it takes, though. That's a great award to give because I bet you never got it again.
I told myself I will never ever be the worst golfer.
I tell people, man,
ever.
if you don't finish first, finish last. Because if you finish last, it is so motivating. It's so much more motivating than finishing second or third or fourth. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I'm selling my soul to finish first, and anything after that, I don't care. And I hope I finish last, because if I finish last, there's no way I won't murder myself and get so much better that I'll never even be close to being bad again.
Exactly. I'm telling you, Jake, that's exactly what happened, because I literally was like, that will never happen again. And I golf once or twice a year now.
Okay.
And, you know, I probably shoot mid-80s, high 80s, you know.
Still good.
I'm a bogey golfer.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you I will never come last in a golf tournament again.
It's incredible how that works. Motivation is a magic thing, man.
Yeah, you know,
and a magic
like,
thing.
That's what I was asking you. Some people just like to win. And for me, my dad kind of raised me, if you do all the things in preparation, then winning it's expected.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I never got super excited about it.
Yeah, I expect to win. Like when I won a state title, I don't like. It's so funny. Like it was no euphoria. Like the next day, my dad had a big banner in the front yard, and I won a state title in wrestling, and I have been fighting for the goal for 3 years. But I was like, cool. All right, that one's down. What's next? All right, we're going to try to qualify for this state golf tournament. Okay, we're going to the Naval Academy this summer. All right, cool. All right, let's keep it moving. You know, like
let me ask you this question. When was the last time Illinois won the Big Ten in football?
I think 2001. No. 07.
Okay.
Yeah, 07. They went to Rose Bowl in 01.
But obviously, as the coaching staff, you set up your goals to be whether it's Big Ten, whether it's a bowl win or whatever. But if you put in the work, like I don't know, I coached high school lacrosse for a couple of years.
Okay. Even
after my daughters graduated high school, I was still coaching up at the school, and they're always like, "How come you don't get excited when you?" I go, "Why?" I mean, it's not. I'm not like mad about it, but I expect it. Like we put in 6 months of work. We did the camps, we did the practices, we did the shooting drills, we did the goalie drills.
Yeah. So we're learning that right now. We're coming around to what it takes to be good. Like I tell everybody, I can get you to good. You got to get yourself past good to great to world class. Like I can give you all the tools you need to be world class. There's nobody in the world that can get you there, right? But like I expect to win, and because I expect to win, there's no value in it to me. Right? And I will do anything it takes to not lose, short of breaking the rules. But, like, if I got to work 15 hours a day to win in recruiting so that I can win in the fall, that's what I'm going to do. If I got to work around the clock, if I got to do TV shows and podcasts to get my brand out there so that young men understand when they come to the University of Illinois that we're selling a brand of world-class achievement, and I'm going to give you a roadmap of how to get there, then that's what I got to do.
Well, make it an expectation instead of, like you expect to win the Big Ten because 100%. You put in the work.
100%. Right? Ohio State ain't shooting for Big Ten titles. I can tell you that right now.
No, they're
right?
Well,
they're a byproduct of racing for national titles.
But now, with Irvin gone, what's going to happen?
We'll see what happens. Ryan Day is a pretty good dude. He's a New Hampshire guy. I worked at New Hampshire for a couple of years. We'll find out. We'll find out real quick.
Yeah.
That's the thing about my sport. Everybody tries to hide behind stuff, but we'll find out real quick because the wins and losses at the end of the season pretty much tell the story.
Well, I think there's such. I mean, I think it was Purdue. Was it Purdue or I think it was Purdue that beat Ohio, right?
Yep. Purdue's pretty dang good now.
The spread is getting thinner and thinner. Like
very much, very much. So.
You used to walk. You play Minnesota. You play Illinois. There were some walkover schools for the Michigans and the Ohio States. I don't think that's there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, in my opinion, there's still a big talent deficit between us, right? Ohio State, Michigan, even Penn State. But we're close to Penn State. Maybe not. Ohio State really is the only team that I've seen in the 2 years I've been here that was like, wow.
Different level.
Yeah, they're different, But I went down there and talked to Irvin a couple times, been to a couple practices. So I kind of had that. I knew what I was looking at there. So, but that's the whole thing. I tell our team in the team meeting, I'm gonna talk to them today about it. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how good you are. If I out-scrap you, I'll break your will to want to compete, and I'll win.
Yeah.
So I'll take a scrappy, gritty, tough kid, and I'll beat your super clean, elite athlete every time. But it's getting that grit to be team-wide. It's getting that fight to be team-wide. And, I mean, that all comes back to leadership. That's what we're working on. So,
all you can do. And do you take part of any of the recruiting, or is that a completely separate?
No. I mean, so I as a director of player development here, I'm also the assistant special teams coordinator. So like I don't really have a say in recruiting, but I give my recruiting pitch because I tell them all when you get here, like we're gonna make you very uncomfortable and we're gonna push you so that you can be the best you can be. And at the end of the day, our whole mantra is we're gonna build a champion for life.
Yeah.
So that like when you graduate here, if you don't go to the NFL for one day, you're gonna be a successful human being. So I give that pitch, I give that talk in recruiting. And, I mean, it's powerful, man, because I've been doing this for 25 years now. I throw up a kid that's 33 years old making $4.5 million at PEMCO. I throw up a kid that's going to be the youngest submarine captain in the history of the Navy. I throw up a kid that had 3 semesters of a 1.76, ended up graduating 3 years later with over a 3.0 GPA, getting drafted by the Seattle Seahawks in the 6th round, and then winning a Super Bowl in his first season in the NFL. And now he's out of the NFL, and now he's a very successful real estate broker down in Atlanta. Right? When I got my hands on him, he was getting ready to fail out of school. Like I got track record of just incredible success stories. And so I just tell him, like, look, man, I'm going to plug you into this, and you're going to do this, and we're going to get you some mentors. If you want to go to the NFL and that's your focus and you're willing to do the work, you can go. But if you want to be an incredible human being and make a ton of money, be very successful in life, then we can do that too.
What is the percent? I mean, what is the percentage of people that go to the NFL on any team? I mean, even like it's Alabama,
3%.
Ohio State,
3%. So like, and this is a great. I just watched Gary Vee talk to Alabama, right?
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. I'd say, hey, man, listen. You told me to listen. I'm gonna listen. So I watched it already. And he said it, man. He said one of their elite superstars was drafted in the top 10, got hurt in his first mini camp, bounced around the league for 3 years, and was out on the street 3 years later. Did not play, played a couple downs in the NFL.
Right.
Now, he was a first rounder pre-collective bargaining agreement, so he got some money. But the bottom line is, everybody in this room thinks they're going to the NFL. And Gary said it, the chance of you sticking around the NFL for more than 3 years is almost zero now.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to bank on that, then you can bank on it, but you better have a backup plan. So it's really small. I don't know the exact percentages, but, we had 2 last year go. I think we have 7 people in the league now total, 8. So, it's just one of those deals.
It's just not a lot.
Think about this. I tell people there's 600 and whatever jobs in the NFL. 32 times 50.
Right.
Right? Oh, wait, that's 1,000. Wait, 32.
No, I got you, though.
Yeah, 32 times 50, right? 1,500 people, roughly. That's it. That's it.
And guess what? All those positions are already filled.
And they're already filled. And, right, so I tell people, if you take out the people that have more than 15 years in the NFL, so they say the average time in the NFL right now is 2.4 years. If you take out the top 10% of veterans age-wise, longevity-wise, that number goes down to 11 months.
Right.
So, your kickers that are doing 20 years, your quarterbacks that are doing 15, 17, 18 years.
Your punter, long snapper.
Yeah, all them other people, 11 months.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the guy I just talked to, Landon Turner, was first-team All-American at University of North Carolina, an ACC school. Yep. Senior captain. He got the Offensive Lineman of the Year award.
Okay.
3 years ago. 3 or 4, the Jim Parker Award.
Okay.
Went undrafted. And it's hold on. First team All-American. He's 6'4", 320. Yep. I mean, he has the size. He's got the pedigree. Played ACC. Undrafted because it just at that time, no teams needed that depth.
Yep.
So he tried out for the Saints, made the Saints team, started a few games, played 8-9 games, and went to the practice squad a second year.
Yep.
Now he's making over $100,000 a year as a practice team, but he's 25, and he's like my football.
That's not change your life money though. That's the problem though.
No, exactly.
Like, it's great money. Yeah, it's great money for a 23-year-old to make, but, you know, you also got that lifestyle you got to live, you know, so.
Well, that's what it was interesting because and I didn't know this. He said, you know, you get paid by the game.
Yeah, you get game check.
You don't make, you're not making, even if you're I don't even know what the NFL minimum is. Let's say it's $250.
Yep.
You're not getting $20,000 a month.
No.
You get it by the game. So he goes, in the off season, you're not getting paid. And he said that's where a lot of guys, you know, when you first get in there and you start making money and you're seeing these $30,000-$40,000 checks because they're so big because it's only over 20 games or whatever.
Yep.
You know, they go out and start spending like they're going to get that every 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, and then the other thing to think about is, right, you get your game check, but then you got taxes. So, like, if you play a game in New York City or in New York State, or you play a game in California, you're losing like 50 to 55 to 60% of your game check is going to taxes as an entertainer in those states. Right? Yeah. That's why they all love to play in Texas, no income tax, Florida, no income tax.
And right? Vegas will be good too for the Raiders because that's what they said. You know, with David Carr, he negotiated the agreement based on them being in Vegas. But he's going to be playing in Oakland for the next 2 years. So, you know, do they offset? Because it's 10-12% no state tax.
Yeah, huge money. Especially on Dave Carr's $60 million contract. You know,
that's what I'm saying. That's $6 million.
Yeah,
you know, that's real money all of a sudden.
Yep, big money, big money.
We'll get back. I guess, you know, I'm always interested in a lot of people that travel for work. You have to be self-motivated. You have to be self-disciplined. You know, you got to pack right. You got to, think about ahead, weather-wise, this, that, all the different conditions that can happen when you're traveling.
Yep.
And almost everybody I've talked to seems like, now with the advent of phones, I can check out the weather in Denver, Colorado for the next 10 days just by looking on my phone. But back in the day, it wasn't that way. You had to pack extra because you didn't know, you couldn't find out.
Yep.
What advantage do you think technology is for someone that travels, whether it's football?
Let's be honest. Like your smartphone makes me my smartphone makes me probably 40% more efficient.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe even I might argue it might make me 100% more efficient. Like, I respond to emails. I don't care when they come in. Like, my email box is always at 0.
Yeah.
Because I will not come in, like, in the first days of business, I remember in 2003, I'd come in on a Monday, and, a Monday or Tuesday morning, you might have 200 emails in your inbox.
Yeah.
And, it was all problems you could solve, but you got to go through 200 emails. Now, like, you send me an email, I see it come in, I look at it, I write a response, I send it back to you. Like, that right there, time savings, just the ability to have the maps on here, right? So for us, high schools are the lifeblood of this sport. And when I got on Google Maps and I mapped out my whole city of Houston or Cincinnati or Chicago, all of a sudden I was able to hit 3 or 4 more schools a day.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I like to get a little workout in, some kind of exercise. So at the end of the day, 3, 4 o'clock, depending if I'm going to practice, I'm always going to find the YMCA around me, go hit the swimming pool, and then I'm going to go to the nearest, Starbucks, and I'm going to watch film for the rest of the night, set up my appointments for the next day if they're not already set up, and then I'll be up at the road, I'll be up at somebody's workout at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So, the phone allows you to do all that. The phone allows you to, you're in constant communication with coaches. When I first started, 2005, I had a cell phone, but a lot of the coaches didn't have cell phones. You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't just text somebody, hey, I'll be there in a minute.
You could page them.
Yeah, you'd have to call the high school, say, hey, can you go take the head coach a note? I was in Jersey, and you'd show up, and he'd say, hey, coach, you're late. I'm like, well, I couldn't get a hold of you to tell you I was going to be an hour late. Oh, well, I'm busy now. I can't see. Okay, cool. I'll come back later. But, now, shoot, it's so easy.
It's cakewalk. I try and tell, like, I have within the company I work for now, there's a couple of reps that are in their mid-20s, some mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
And I tried to explain to them, 10, 15 years ago, I would go to an appointment there was no cell phone, so I didn't have. I guess we had cell phones, but just kind of starting. They were expensive.
Yeah.
It was like, call me if it's really important. You know, like $3.
I only got 200 minutes on my plan. So we're not having no conversations over a cell phone. What do you need? Yeah, okay, I'll call you back later. Bye.
So, and I go, there was no traffic GPS telling you, oh, well, this would be a faster route. This will save you 15 minutes. Oh, accident ahead. There was nothing. So it's like, if I was going from here to Valencia, which is 50 miles.
Yep.
It could be 3 hours.
Oh yeah, talk about travel. How about Google Maps?
An hour and a half.
Google Maps showing you the accidents and rerouting you around the traffic.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
right? Like,
and just like you said, I get emails, even on weekends, and it's just like, okay, well, I'll do this. Oh yeah, but I don't know. I think technology is great.
Yeah, let's be honest, it ain't going nowhere. Right, everybody's sitting here like, it had to be end of days for us not to have cell phones.
It's so true.
And if that's the case, then you ain't worried about your cell phone anyway. You worried about surviving. So, but yeah, I love technology and travel. I think it was awesome when we were overseas. The whole idea of trying to find Wi-Fi so that you could send emails or FaceTime your family. And, we were out in the middle of nowhere in southern Chile in the Cocovados, and they had these satellite Wi-Fi connector things. They were super expensive. They were using them for TV, but one of the TV dudes taught me the trick, kind of how to hack the router. So we all, I had access, and it was just awesome. Like, we're in the middle on a boat in the middle of the Cocovados in a little kind of crevasse, I guess not a crevasse, an inlet, and I'm sitting there FaceTiming with my wife. Now, this is the best one. Okay, you talk about technology. I'm in Iceland in January, okay? I am in a blizzard, 80-mile-an-hour winds, whiteout conditions, and one of the cameramen with me was from Iceland. He whips his cell phone out and is like, you want to send your wife a message? I'm like, what?
Excuse me?
I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you got cell phone service. I was like, that's impossible. He goes, no. All of Iceland is connected via cell phone towers because it's our emergency response system. Oh, so even though we're 4.5 hours from the nearest city in the middle of the mountains in a blizzard, he got 5 bars. So we snapped some pictures. I shot my wife an email. About 15 minutes later, she shot me back a response. And then when I got home, she was like, how did you send me a text message from the middle of a survival show in a blizzard?
You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, the dude with us had a phone and it had 5 bars. So I got a couple awesome pictures in the middle of a blizzard with a huge pink teddy bear on my back. I sent the wife a shout out, something you couldn't do 4 or 5 years ago. So technology is awesome.
I know my youngest daughter's traveled overseas a little bit, and whether she's in London or Paris or Kuala Lumpur, I'm like, we're FaceTiming each other.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're like on a different continent, and we're talking like you're right next door.
And it's getting better and better, right? Even it's twice as good as it was 3 years ago, right? You had Google Hangouts, kind of choppy sometimes. Now you got Duo. And it's like you're sitting right there. You have video conference. It's face-to-face, clear,
Like it's nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. And it's good and it's bad, right? Good and it's bad. You want to disappear for some time. You disappear for 3 or 4 days, they might call the police and say you just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
if they can't get a hold of you. That's what I was telling you. When I was growing up, I would have died having a cell phone. Because I always tell my kids, when they were growing up, I'd be like, where are you? Well, I don't give me that. We live in Los Angeles. We have cell signal here. If you're not going to reply to me, just give me the phone. Just give it to me now.
Yeah, no question. Now I'm working with the team on that one.
This isn't for you and your friends. This is for me and you.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to reply to me, then there ain't no you. You don't need the phone.
You don't need the phone, then.
And she's like, oh no, there's no getting better. I go, reply. You can text it because I know you don't want to talk to your dad on the phone. I know it's uncool. But if you don't reply via text, I'm taking the phone. End of story.
100%. And that's the message I'm going to convey today to the team. Should you find yourself in a little less than good situation, i.e. class, late for class, or whatever, I better get a text message. Because if I don't, I'm going to get you. When I get you, I'm going to make it really bad because you didn't let me know that you did something wrong.
Exactly.
I'm going to get all the wrongness out of here for the most part, but until then, I want to know about the little snafus that you have throughout your day. So.
Yeah, and wrongs still happen, but just let me know.
No question. No question. Yeah, travel, technology, man. The new hot spots. They got the hockey puck now.
Yeah.
Just, think about it from you're doing a travel podcast. I tell people one of the best things ever. And have you done this? Have you traveled the world via Google Maps, Street View?
Ooh.
Google Earth? Google Earth?
Yes.
So, but now Street View is everywhere. So, I tell people the best, if you don't have a budget to travel, just get the family, whoever you want to travel with, and click on Street View in a city in Italy.
Right.
And you're going to feel like you're in that city. And you're going to be able to see stuff. And I literally, zoom around Seville. All the memories come back of running around Seville for a month. Rhoda, Italy, Sicily, Naples, Malta. And, that's what it's like. I love to go to China. China is so busy. The streets are so busy. India is the same way. But you can get a feel for where you're at,
You know what I'm waiting for? Virtual reality. Virtual reality Street View.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. I did a virtual reality thing at the show. It was supposed to be the next level, next cutting edge, whatever. Uh-huh. Dude, I was freaked out. Had a dinosaur walk over me. I didn't do any of the roller coasters or all that.
Yeah.
But we
throw up.
Yeah. See, that's me. I was told. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 10 plus years.
Okay.
And my instructors, I would get motion sickness just doing rolls.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the same way.
And he said, "Did you get a lot of concussions as a kid?" And I go, "Yeah." He said 10 years of football.
Okay.
Back before they had concussion training.
Yeah, concussion protocol. Yep.
Hey, did you ring your bell? Get back in there.
Yep.
And I said, yeah. So I played linebacker for 8 of the 10 years I played football. So yeah, I definitely smashed my head in a lot. He goes, I've seen more people that got a lot of concussions as kids have a harder time with motion sickness. Now, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I was throwing up at 6 years old in a fishing boat in the Straits of Juan de Fuca, so I don't know.
Yeah, me too. My dad would take me out. We'd go out. I'd do okay in the lake fishing, but my dad would we'd go out San Diego, go albacore fishing and all that. And I was probably 10, 11, 12. And I'd be puking off the back.
Just calling Earl the whole time. But I'm catching 60-pound king salmon, so I'll be like, yo, I'm good. I'll throw up for a day to catch a 50-pound king salmon, Well, that's and now I can't go roller coasters. I can't do amusement park rides. I can't do any of that stuff. Yeah.
But
virtual reality killed me. As soon as I put it on, I'm done. I'm spinning and I'm done.
I did they had one where you go up on a building, and so you're on top of a skyscraper, and you can walk around on the ledge. Obviously, you can't walk up but fuck, I felt like I was 200 stories up.
Bananas, right? It's a powerful training tool. Just in this business about 5 years ago, it was a huge rave. But the kids just said that, man, we get motion sickness all the time. There's so much stuff going on. Your body thinks it's moving, but it's not.
Right.
So then your brain's getting counter information and it's causing problems. I'm waiting for the VR house business. You can find them every now and then, but realtors, I still say this, realtors, pretty soon you're not going to need a realtor.
Yeah.
Because you're going to buy a house on a VR visit, and you're going to be like, okay, I want to go look at these 3 houses. You're going to look at 3 houses in 1 hour, and you're like, all right, I'll buy that one. I already do that. You know, when I moved here, I bought a house in like 6 hours.
Well, I know they have the 360 views now.
Yep.
For the real estate sites, you know, where they have that 360 camera and they go into homes and just shoot a 360 view.
Yep.
But imagine VR. I mean, the other thing they made me do on the VR sample thing was I walk into this library type building, and all of a sudden this Tyrannosaurus Rex is walking over me.
Okay.
I'm like, dude, I thought a dinosaur was walking over me. It was like, oh my God.
Banana.
So just like you said, it's like, you want to go to Italy, you know, what part?
Yeah.
Just VR and find out. And
shoot, I'll go to Naples right now. Pull in on the same pier that I was at 23 years ago. Walk the pier, it looks the exact same. Walk up the streets, walk around town. Sicily the same way. Suda Bay, Crete, same way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, we were at Palma de Mallorca, which is Cancun, Mexico for Europe. We were there for 3 weeks straight because the ship was broke down. I mean, we were partying like rock stars for like the first 5 days that everybody was broke. And so, well, like, you go there, it's the same thing, man. Same clubs, you know, everything's updated, obviously. But, like, you go to Malta right now, if I go to the little port in Malta where we were at for a month, exact same. Looks exact same.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like, I tell everybody, like, I love to Street View China, right? Like, you want to go see how they're living? Just roll through Street View, right? Go click on Shanghai and Street View that whole thing. You'd be like, holy smokes. Like, New York City is the same way. You Street View New York, you're like, oh, my God.
Well, you know, what I do for travel, for business travel, and what I've told some other friends is, you know, if I have to go to downtown LA, and I've been there dozens of times, but I haven't been down every street, and I don't know what every building looks like.
Yep.
So if I got to go to someplace, especially at night, I'll street view it. So I'm like, oh, okay, so let me look for the Burger King, because I went to see that on the top view.
Yep.
The parking garage that I want to go into is the one after the Burger King, and then the brick building next to it. You know, but I can actually see it before I get there, so it helps me.
Yeah. So for a travel perspective, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, shoot. Like, I tell, like, man, I used to go on these virtual dates with this lady that I loved dearly that we really never dated. We lived in 2 faraway cities. Yeah. And we would go on these virtual dates, and she'd be like, all right, where do you want to go? And I'd be like, let's go to Seville. And this was a Yahoo Messenger in like,
that's crazy.
And so, like, we'd pull up pictures online and send them to each other about where we're going and what we're doing. And now I'm like, yo, like, Street View, I'm banging it. Right?
Yeah.
Let's go to Hong Kong, see how Hong Kong's living, you know, Indonesia, Vietnam. That's really the only place you're not going to get a whole lot of Street View. North Korea, right? Like, I spun around North Korea. So.
Yeah, that's they're probably not going to allow that. Venezuela right now, probably not a good place to visit.
Yeah, I mean, all of South America is tough on us. Like, Americans, they know you're American. Ooh, buddy, you better be careful.
Yeah, word.
Yeah, same as India. India for a female could be deadly. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, man. What else? What else you got, bud?
That's what I got, my friend.
I'm glad we weren't rushed this time. Last time we were kind of rushed, and this time was good, man. Organic. I love it. Man.
Yeah. You know, the whole thing with doing the podcast or any kind of technology, I always tell my wife's like, you know, she tries to tell me, hey, you know, it's your side gig, you know, let's not go crazy. Make sure we still got to make date nights, and you know. I go, we got to have our date time, and you know.
Yeah.
And I go, I get that. And I go, this has been probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Being able to go out and talk to people whilst, you know, it gives me a reason to talk to people.
Awesome, dude. Awesome.
You know, and find out. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've met some Navy SEALs. I know I have. I just haven't spent any time really talking to them.
Gotcha.
And then a football coach, a D1 football coach, you know, talking to Smush Parker and talking to all these different types of people.
Yeah.
Just a different perspective, you know. And to be honest, it makes me thankful for the job I have. And
Oh, no question. Every day I come to work, I'm like, yo, I'm working in the Big Ten, baby.
yeah.
I'm at the University of Illinois in the Big Ten. Like, let's keep it real. Like, we got the best job. Shoot, there's 12 of these jobs in the country that say you're working in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's 68 of these Power 5 jobs in the country. That's it, and like I got one of them, and I'm very fortunate for it, Now I'm gonna turn it into a better job in the Big Ten and the Power 5, but for right now, shoot, I'm living a dream.
That's exactly it. So, and keep going. I mean, you got a lot of fun projects coming up and a lot of different things.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff I'm working on, so we'll
So.
see. I'm trying to get this head coaching job so I can win this national championship and get out this business. So.
It's interesting to say that, though, isn't it? I mean,
well, yeah, it's simple. Like, it'll be in my contract. I'm going to win a national championship. I'm going to host the trophy. 10 seconds later, I'm going to be automatically retired. You're going to give me a big chunk of change for winning you a natty. And then I'm going to go be a U.S. Senator for a couple of years. I'm going to change some stuff in the military, do some stuff a little bit differently. And then I'm going to retire.
Do you think being a senator is the best way?
So so one of the things that the senator has power to do is with a stroke of his pen, he can promote anybody in the military to the rank of 06. So literally, I could go down to the Naval Academy to piss off some people at the Navy, and I could take a first year midshipman, like a fourth class midshipman, and promote him to 06 on the spot. So that's one of those powers that I think would be really neat to have, right? Like, you go down there and you take a midshipman, you make him a lieutenant. And then when he graduates, you make him a commander. And then he does really well, and then they're like, well, he doesn't have the 19 years of service to be a commander. Yeah. But yeah, because I picked a superstar. See, that's how this works. Because I want to change the promotion system in the military, because it's far too much time in service and far too little performance. So if you just stay in, like we have a saying in the military, all the good guys get out and make millions, all the bad guys stay in and make admiral.
Yeah.
So,
but this goes back about 10 plus years ago. After the last recession, when we went to war in 07, 08, and AIG and the whole bank system fell apart, like I said, I started to read, like, what am I going to do? I was a commercial real estate agent.
Okay.
Well, when that happened, and I worked for a developer, you couldn't develop anything. You couldn't get a bank to give you a loan.
No.
Didn't have any money.
Yep.
So that's literally how I got started in the apparel business. But in between, I started looking at becoming a police officer.
Okay.
And I went to the LAPD process. We made it all the way through until I found out I had bad hearing.
Okay.
Which is the best thing ever, now. But at the time, it's a 9-month process just to even get to where they give you a conditional letter offer.
Yeah.
To get into the academy.
I think being a police officer may be the worst job in America. It's the most noble job, but it would be the worst job in America because, like, to me, your upside is you're helping the whole community, obviously, but the downside is you can never be protected from some lunatic shooting you.
Correct.
Right? Like it's not like when you're in the military where we're in bad guy country. I see a threat, I shoot threat, right? You got guys shot those 2 police officers sitting in their car in New York,
Yep.
So.
But so I started going through the process, and I didn't mind the process, and I was, at the time I was in my early 40s.
Yeah.
And most of the people were in their early 20s, but all the LAPD guys I talked to, I did ride-alongs. I had some friends that were cops and sheriffs, and they all would go to work at LAPD and then get out. They would go to a different city.
Okay.
They got. It's kind of like what you were saying. It's like, in the Navy, it's like all the good people leave not all. There's 10,000 LAPD sworn officers.
Okay.
I mean, it's a city.
Yeah,
that's
a city.
It's 10,000 people.
The city I grew up in.
Yeah. So, but what happens is the good ones go, well, I'm going to go work in Beverly Hills or the beaches or wherever and make more money and less threat.
Yeah, less threat is key.
Yeah.
Less threat. No Compton and Watts, right?
Yeah, I actually did my ride along right through Watts.
So my grandmother lives on 115th Street in Watts.
Okay.
So when I'd visit her as a little kid, I was not allowed to go past the kitchen, which was in the back of the house. I was never allowed to go outside.
Yeah.
So
my wife, when she first moved here, made the mistake of getting off the 105 freeway, and I was up north for work, and she called and she goes, I go, where you at? She goes, I'm lost. And I go, where you at? She tells me, I go, do not get out of the car. Don't ask for directions. Here's exactly where you need to go. She was 3 blocks over from Watts Tower.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you're right near Nickerson Gardens. You don't need to be there right now.
No, not a good place to be.
No.
Not then. Yeah. 20, 30 years ago. You know, now you can't buy a house over there, right?
Oh, dude, it's people have no idea in different parts of the country how expensive California is.
Oh, I know.
I have my sales rep who does what I do, and he lives in just outside of Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Okay.
He's showing me on Zillow, you know, the housing app. You know, you buy a brand new house for $130,000 with 5 to 10 acres of land, and you know, and a barn and all that. And I'm like, I told him, I go, you literally could not buy anything in Compton for $130,000.
Nope.
And he's like, no. I said, so we pull it up. It's $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for a house in Compton.
$500,000 in Compton, no question.
Right.
It's crazy because I bought a house here. I paid twice as much for pretty much the same exact house that I bought in San Antonio in 12. San Antonio cost me $160, and I paid more than that. No, that's right. That's $320. So yeah. So I paid $340 for a house here. Paid $160 there. And now that house down there is like $3+. But, like it's Texas. Like I can still go to Texas and get 100 acres for $50,000.
Not much, yeah. Well, that's what he was showing me. He's like, yeah, you should move. And I'm like, I don't want to live in Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
There's some great cheap housing prices out there if you're willing to live in the middle of Montana and your kids got to drive 2 hours to go to school.
Hey, Montana can be expensive too, though.
No, Montana's expensive. That's a bad. Let's do Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming much better. Yeah, there you go.
Wyoming, Denver. Not Denver. Colorado, Nebraska. Now, here's something crazy. So I'm in Illinois, right? So I talked to my realtor about finding me 5 acres with a water source, right? So I could keep fishing, just a way to get out of my neighborhood I live in. And so he said, Jake, man, you can't find 5 acres around here. So what do you mean?
Really?
He goes, do you understand that each acre of corn land is $30,000?
Yeah.
He says, so like the only piece of land I'm going to be able to find you is like a piece of land between 3 fields that's absolutely worthless. That's why I don't need it. If it has woods and a water source, I'll be fine. He was like, it won't. Like it's basically $30,000 an acre because of the value of corn. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I would have never thought that, but you're right.
Yeah. Same thing, right? You're like, you never think I live in the middle of corn land. Are you telling me I got to pay $30,000 for an acre so I can get a pond? You hear
about the guy in Oregon who started? He didn't divert any water stream or source, but what he did is there was a stream that came through. I think he had 30 or 40 acres. Okay. And what he did was he took the water that naturally came through his property and pooled it up as a not for a pond but for drinking. He wanted to start. He was one of the what do they call them? The survivalist guys.
Gotcha. Right? Prepper.
Yeah. So the state sued him and jailed him.
For what?
For God, what was it? You're not allowed to divert a water source that's meant for the entire population into your own property. Even though, and then he's like, hold on, it's rainwater that fell on my property, on my stream, and I'm just saving it for my use. I'm not selling it. I'm not reusing it. I'm not. Yeah. He goes, yeah. And he kept doing it, so they jailed him.
You're in California, so you guys got massive water issues. But there was a guy in my state in Washington. So he bought a piece of land that had a 200-foot waterfall on it. Okay, not a huge volume waterfall, but basically there's a 200-foot drop on his property. So he built a collection box at the top, ran a pipe down to the bottom, and ran a generator off of it, like a homemade washing machine, water wheel. And the power company had to give him $15,000 a month checks because he was making that much power. So they were trying to sue him and do everything. And then at the end of the day, like, they were like, oh, well, not much we can do. He's not doing anything wrong. So the power company was irate that they're cutting him $15,000 checks a month, and he's sitting there laughing all the way to the bank because it's paying for everything that he needs, you know?
That's awesome, though.
That's in the back of my head, like, find land that has a huge water reserve with a 200-foot drop, build you some generators, and let's start cranking power.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, look, I got to go get ready for this meeting.
Yep.
I really love talking to you, man. Let's do it again. We'll talk about the world and everything else. I wish you the best with this podcast on travel for business people. Be safe out there, man.
You too. And best of luck in the off season.
100, man. I appreciate it, Peter.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.